Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Young Guy International Podcast. Thank you for watching, listening to the podcast on all the different platforms that it's available at. Our mission and vision here at the end of the day is to create a socially connected world. How do we do that? Is we connect with different individuals that are shaping this world, learning about their stories, their experiences, and tapping into that and finding ways in which we can learn from them, learn from their journeys, to not only inspire us, but to inform how we go about our everyday lives, whether it's in business, whether it is social impact, whether it's IT, whether it's STEM. And today with me, I am honored to have one of my friends, Ugandan as well. He studied at Durham College. He's going to tell us a lot about, obviously, his experience as an international student, his experience starting a tech-based organization here in Canada, getting funding for it, and just the entire journey and process. I am honored and glad to welcome my friend Kinen Ocitti. Kinen, welcome, and we're happy to have you here. Thank you for coming to the Young Guy International Podcast.
And Darren, thank you very much for having me, man.
It's great that obviously you came all the way from Durham College, so I appreciate that, man. I know that as young people, we do need to stay connected. We do need to uplift each other, but also shine a light on the work that different people are doing. And I think that's what our conversation today really is going to be focused on, is your work around Quota, your organization that you started as a co-founder, and I believe the CEO as well. And but before that, the flow of my conversations with many of the different guests that I've had is because this is the Young Guy International, and we are trying our best to get to feed into people's heritage and culture, and where they come from. And I always ask if there's one or two things that you can teach the audience about your culture, whether it's a word, a song, a favorite dish, that we can sort of take in as we break the ice and start our conversation today.
Awesome. Okay, so I would say this phrase, I just learned it recently, actually, in June. I'm Ugandan. I'm from the north. I'm Acholi. And a phrase that my gran taught me, or it's a song, but my grandmother taught me, and my dad also told me, was "Lachwechwe oyabuyo yoleng."
Okay, I'm going to try my best to remember that.
It essentially means God's with you, God set the way, and the rest of the way is clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was that phrase, yeah. It's
what's stuck with you, and you think, and which I think is a great point to start. And I'd like to start at the beginning.
Right.
You coming to Canada, going to Durham College. What was the experience like from you leaving Uganda, leaving home, not knowing what you're going to, or having an idea, but knowing that God is with you in that journey and that the path has been set. Now it's up to you as Kinen to execute. How was that shift from coming to Uganda to now being in Canada and now studying at Durham College?
Great. So when I came in 2018, and it was interesting because I came as international student from Uganda. Yes, I had the privilege of traveling around Africa to different schools, but now coming to Canada, a whole different culture shock, really. Miles and miles away from family, and obviously the weather, it being cold, but it kind of helped me because I was able to make friends quickly, find roots, find people I could gravitate to. And yeah, it helped also just knowing the people from back home were close by. Right?
I see. And how do you find that with your time here at in Canada, there are certain characteristics or certain traits that you have adopted compared to maybe Kinen 5 years ago?
So I would say throughout the last few years, I've learned a lot about myself, right? Being away from home, and as well as also just spending time with myself. I found that I'm more reserved. I find that I was more reserved than other people. And that's something that I really like and appreciate about myself now.
And on that note of yes, being reserved, did you feel that at any one point in that experience of being reserved, there were moments or episodes where you felt alone, or you felt like there was not really much of a community that you could lean into? Because obviously in Uganda, we have that. You know, you can literally walk out of home and the people, your neighbors, will welcome you with open arms. And so you find that for a while in the beginning, or maybe through the process, it was a bit tough, maybe to just find that community. There was a bit of loneliness.
So before coming to university, actually, I spoke to a few friends. Most of my friends are a bit older than me, about like what to expect for university, right? And one of the things they told me was that it's very easy to shut off and just go by the motions, right? Say you make friends when you make friends, right? So so they encouraged me really, like whenever I get to residence, get out of your room and knock on the first door you see and just introduce yourself, make friends. So that's exactly what I did. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be at home. I'm not going to be at residence the whole time. So I'm going to have to make friends. Went across the hall, knocked on the first door, made friends with them. And something that also my dad told me growing up, like moving to different countries, was finding places to make friends, right? So one of his, he called it like social spots. So one of his was the golf club. So we played a lot of golf. So his was a golf club. So he said, which places would you like be prone to find or meet people? So I thought about it and I was like, okay, why not the gym? Right? So that's where I would spend most of my time outside of class, right? Going to the gym, meeting people. So I would say it was those social spots, like going out there, knocking on the first door, seeing people, introducing myself, the gym, in the weight room, or even just playing basketball.
I see. And I think you'd agree with me when obviously some people might not be as bold as you are. For example, to go knock on someone's door and say, hey, can we be friends? You know, other people are a bit more reserved. And the reason I'm asking this trail of questions is because leading into your organization, which really is focused on well-being, mental health, that awareness that you're really trying to solve through Kuota. And I think as a student entrepreneur then, and now obviously working, but still as an entrepreneur, I think that's a conversation that many people don't want to have, is how do you get out of this thing where you have a mental health issue, you want to talk about it, you want to address it, but you're not in the right spaces and the right spots. But before we talk about the business, why did you feel it was best for you to go into entrepreneurship?
Okay. I would say, I was actually thinking about it the other day. Was in high school. I went to high school in Kenya, and one of the things that we did was we brought tuck, so like snacks. So I loved eating snacks. I still do. But the beginning of the semester, we bought a lot of tuck, me and my roommate, and we decided to kind of eat them, right? Like have like snack parties, whatever. And during the course of the week when the semester began, people caught wind on that Kinen's roommates have snacks, right? And so people would come up to us like after prep in the evening to try buy tuck from us, right? Buy crisps here, chocolate bars here, and we're like, yo, let's sell these. So we did for a few weeks, but school caught up to us and we never really followed through with it. So entrepreneurship, I would say, was something that we had, but never really pursued or blossomed until university.
And now you're in university. We're definitely going to talk about the challenges, because this is a different level of business compared to selling tuck back in back in high school. But why did you choose to start this organization, Kuota? And maybe you can also give us a bit of context about what Kuota really is and what your vision for it as an organization is.
All right. So Quota is a mobile application that aims to improve individuals' mental health through AI-powered digital journaling and the ability to share that journal to licensed therapists for personalized and professional support.
Mm-hmm.
Where we started, where Quota started was really at the beginning of last year. Just a lot of mental health challenges I was going through. Different things were happening in my life and personal life, and I just needed an outlet to explain what I was going through. But me being a man,
We're going to talk about that as well, yeah.
me being a man,
an African man.
an African man, exactly, afraid of what people would think about going to therapy, right? I did think about what other people thought, which was wrong for me to think about, but those are thoughts, right? So I did confide in a friend of mine, and she told me to actually journal and how journaling has helped her with her mental health. And her being a mental health advocate, I really was like, okay, I took her word seriously and decided to try it. And lo and behold, it helped. But one of the first few times I tried to get into journaling, it was just tough because it's, you know that you have to write, but you don't know what to write about, right? So that whole kind of blank page anxiety was what I suffered with, and kind of what Quota is trying to alleviate from that whole journaling experience.
You said, obviously, as a man.
Yeah.
I'll be honest as well and say I've never been to therapy, and that's not to say because I've not had any problems, but also this feeling of, I should just be able to figure it out. I should just be able to get it done. How were you able to break out of that stigmatization of, men don't do therapy? What was the key thing, and how would you advise other young men that might potentially be watching to get out and to really express themselves in a controlled way, because also there are certain things still happening?
So I would say confide in someone you trust, right? It might be, because earlier you mentioned about sense of community, right? Could be a best friend, it could be your parents, it could be your siblings, right? Someone you trust, someone you really care about, and just kind of like tell them what you're going through. That by itself is very therapeutic. Just telling someone what's on your mind, what's on your chest, and expressing your feelings in a more personal and emotional level. That could go a long way. That's, I would say, the same. Me being a journaler but not really a mental health professional, I would say it helps a lot with your mental health, right? Just talking about what you're going through. If you keep it in store, like inside, it'll start to eat inside you, right? So those are the things that I found that happened to me, right? I would say different things would happen, and I'd kind of like try to go stoic, right?
Yeah.
But being stoic is not who I am, right? So I would say confiding in someone like how I did, and they'll help you.
They'll help you. And why journaling instead of actually speaking to potential professional therapists or counselors in this field? Why do you feel like journaling was the best avenue, the best space for an app like this?
So journaling has hundreds of studies to show that it is very therapeutic, right? It's you putting your thoughts on a piece of paper, or on a piece of paper or somewhere that kind of like clears your thoughts, clears your mind, and puts you in like a right train of thought, right? And why we thought it'd be a great app was everyone carries their phone around, right? Everyone carries their phone, their tablets, their laptops. So we need something that they're also able to carry their journal around, right? It's tough to carry a book, right, and a pen, but everyone carries their phone, so it's easy to write a note, record a video, or even a voice note, right, for their journal. So that's why.
So you felt like, obviously, because of potentially what young people are using today, the ease of access to certain things, And obviously, because that's your market, it will
Right.
make it easier to be able to approach it in that way. Building the app, building the website,
Yeah.
building the business as a whole. I saw recently you guys won funding, $10,000. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
On that. But that's what we see. Many people don't see what's happening in the background, the hours that you're putting in, the level of dedication, the perseverance that you have to go through to be able to build something that takes a while to launch, that takes a while to get out of the idea phase. How were you able to go through that design sprint phase, or how did you get out of idea to implementation?
Idea to implementation. Okay. So I would say two major things really helps. Myself and co-authors, the organization, come to grow, right? That I would say is mentorship and incubators as well. Mentorship being putting myself in tough situations as a mentor does for you to grow, and also teach you valuable lessons in stages, right? And incubators where you actually sit in a room with advisors and people who are experienced in entrepreneurship to actually advise you and walk through the stages of growing a successful startup, right? Those two things I would say were ideal.
What helped with taking from idea to impact as a student entrepreneur, because I believe you've started Co-author has been in existence for 2 years now.
Just under a year. Just over a year.
Just over a year. Yeah. Obviously, again, congratulations for that, because getting 10,000 just under a year, seeing the traction that you guys have had, I think is phenomenal, because it shows the testament not only to your hard work, your co-founder's hard work, who we'll be speaking to later on as well, but as an entrepreneur, as a student entrepreneur earlier in the year, what challenges did you face? Balancing your education, but also with creating something that you're really passionate about. How were you able to balance that? Because now, so many young people across the world reach out to me and say, "Hey, Darren, I want to start this idea, but I'm struggling. How do I manage my time? I need to pass, but I also want to do this. I'm really passionate about this." How were you able to balance the two and make sure that both are not compromised?
Okay. So one of the things I would say was in first year was I created time for my extracurriculars, right? So I knew I came to Canada to study, right? But extracurricular would be playing basketball or going to the gym. So I would schedule them within my schedule, right? So I'd put time to go to the gym within my calendar. So I'd kind of treat it like a lecture, all right? So that's exactly what I did with implementing or adding time for co-author. I put it in my schedule where it was more 2 hours in the end of the day where I could actually work on co-author, reach out to different mental health professionals, or meet Sam or Anna as a team and utilize those 2 hours, right? Yeah.
But haven't you ever at any one point realized that, hey man, this thing is on my mind the entire day? At night, I need to keep thinking about the thing. And how were you able then to say, you know what, I need to focus on something else? Yes, this thing is on my mind. Yes, I'm passionate about it.
Right.
Yes, things need to happen. But how were you able to say, you know what, for now, just be on the back end. Let me focus on this and this, because it's not easy.
It is. It isn't. It's. I would say it stems from. It stems to having like a great team around you, right? So I would call Sam up in the middle of the night and just say, "Hey, this is keeping me awake. This. What do you think about this feature? I've been thinking about this. This addition to co-author, and just kind of talking it out with him, and being like, okay, cool. I've gotten it off my chest, right? Because it also stems from like getting off your chest, right?
Yeah.
So saying what I need to say, and then okay, cool, time to lock in, then go sleep or go to the library, study. So I would say it's just surrounding yourself with good people and a great team.
And on that point of surrounding yourself with great people, a good team, whenever I do anything, I always tell people that I can't do anything unless there's a team, because at times you'll realize that you can't do everything. you have to be able to not only delegate, but give what you can to do to someone who can do it at a level that you couldn't even imagine if you were given the resources to do it. Do you feel like having a co-founder has made it easier for you to move faster and also execute a lot better?
100%. So actually, when last year when we thought about Coota, I decided, okay, it's gonna be an app, and how we're gonna code this app. Yes, I did. I have a tech background, but I'm not the best coder, right? I knew someone who's miles better than me, right? I said, okay, let me pitch the idea to Sam. So I went up to him and said, Sam, this is what's happening. I'd love it if you came on board. And lo and behold, he was like, yeah, because he loves he's passionate about mental health, right? And I knew that was also a factor as well. So just a great addition to the team. Yeah.
And you raise a good point as well in terms of bringing people onto a team or selecting and identifying the right people to bring on a team. How exactly were you able to do that? And have you found that with the people that you've selected to be part of this team, to be part of this vision that you hold? Do you find that, how were you able to select them, and now that they're actually bought into your vision, it's working, and you see all facets of the organization gelling with each other?
Okay. So I would say character, right? Because it's all about I would say you're friends with someone in their good times, right? But it's when in their bad times where you actually see who your friends you really are, right? So and then I've known Sam just over 2 years now, just over 2 and a bit years, and throughout that time, yes, I was going through some things and he was going through some things, but we stuck together, right? So I would say character was something that was a key factor for me.
That's interesting that you mentioned that, because today many people struggle with picking the right people for a team, even though, yes, we'll put out posts saying, hey, would you like to join this team? Reach out to different people, ask them, hey, would you like to be part of this vision that I'm trying to create? Sometimes it attracts the right people. Other times it might not attract the right people. And I know that finding ways of balancing the two, studying someone's character, isn't always easy. But it's great to see that you've been able to build a team around people that have the right character for the business, for the vision that you're trying to create. We didn't speak about this earlier, but Coota.
Yeah.
Why that name Coota? What does it mean? And why Coota?
Okay. So when I brought the idea to Sam, we sat down and actually in his kitchen, and we decided, you know what, what are we gonna call it? Right? We stumbled on different names, but we needed something that one seemed interesting, seemed fun, right? And also two, touched on our African roots, right? So we landed on Coota, which means to dream deeply in Swahili. It actually it's supposed to be said Coota.
Coota. Okay.
I might not be saying it right, but yeah. So that's how it started. I remember we were on phone calls with our parents, just trying to see which word resonates the best, right? To dream deeply, and that's essentially journaling, right? Self-reflection, self-awareness, in a whole. Right.
Wow, that's a beautiful picture that you've painted in terms of how the name is now. Do you feel like with what you have created for Coota,
right,
it is going to sort of bring, how do you envision it essentially bringing more people in to buying into one, journaling as a means of expression, not only for that, but also as a means for expression that they can use for mental health awareness, and using that as something to uplift that barrier?
So we want essentially Coota as the ideal platform for your mental health, right? We know that that essentially that we Cohorta as a whole, we can't do everything under the umbrella of mental health, right? But we can focus on journaling and trying to improve individuals' journaling habits and trying to execute that their journaling skills, right? So that's why we're really hyper focusing on journaling. But we didn't want to kind of like stretch ourselves thin in terms of creating an app for mental health, like creating a platform to connect different people to mental health professionals. There are many out there, but we wanted just to focus on that journaling and connecting that journal to licensed therapists, really, to your therapist.
But the main core of the business is journaling.
It's journaling.
So everything that's going to be built around it will be built around journaling.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have any ideas of where potentially after mental health you would want to enter an industry that still has journaling at the core? Have you thought that far, or right now it's just journaling?
We haven't yet put too much thought about that. But we are looking. We're just adding different features onto our beta version. So in different features where we're adding to our beta. We're launching our beta soon. I'm sure by when the pod launches, we'd have launched. So we'll be adding different features. Our version 2 will be coming out possibly by the time this comes out. And we'll see. We'll see what other industries or that other areas we'll get into. But as for now, it'll be journaling.
It'll be journaling. That's the focus. And Kinen and Cohorta, two different entities. But I can tell you're trying to merge the two. You know, this is your baby at the end of the day. You want to make sure that it goes the distance. But with your background in data at Durham College, with your focus there, how do you see your career studying that, working in that field, and then entrepreneurship in this field merging? Or do you see them as two separate things that essentially you want to have running simultaneously?
So ideally, I would love to work on Cohorta full time if it's financially viable, right? But currently, myself being just a graduate, an international student graduate, right? We're working towards PR. So that's something that I would need to grow my professional career and work on Cohorta on the side. But ideally, I would love to work on Cohorta full time.
I see. And do you find that with working with Cohorta, there are certain, because I remember you said at the beginning, there are certain character traits that you learned, and so I'm trying to bring it back full circle.
Yeah.
Certain character traits that you learned during your time as a university student, but during your time building Cohorta, what have you learned about Kinen, the entrepreneur?
So there are many things that I learned just in this 1 year of working on Cohorta, and that stems from just having a great mentor, right? So just being in situations where you have to grow. I'll give you an example. So the opportunities where we had to be in rooms where we got the opportunity to participate in a health tech conference in June in Lake Ridge Hospital in Oshawa, where we us as Cohorta and a number of other health tech solutions came to present their solutions in different facets of health. And I was there, or we were there as essentially an idea, right? Because at that point, Cohorta hadn't been formulated yet. Yes, we had a blueprint, we had a working demo, but nothing used in field, right? So we were there with a number of different doctors, different health tech solutions, and which are in field, right? So it hit us with a lot of imposter syndrome, right? Like kind of like, why are we here? Do we deserve to be here, kind of thing? But it was a matter of like, because my mentor pushed us aside and said, you're here for a reason, right? You were selected to be in this situation or in this conference, so you deserve to be here, right? And part of the conference was you get 2 minutes to pitch your idea, your venture, in front of everyone, the audience and other doctors, and the audience picked 2 winners, right? We weren't the winner. We weren't one of the 2, but we were close third from talking to other people as well as what the ballot said from the voting, and that on itself was just a win, right? Just saying that it was validation that we had a chance to be there, right? So we were grateful for that.
What did that experience teach you about the business, but also yourselves as young entrepreneurs?
So it really taught us about kind of like shutting that voice of imposter syndrome down, like shutting it up, like thinking about like, hey, if you're in a room, you deserve to be in that room, right? So it's just a matter of like, you do the work behind the scenes until you're there. And when you're there, it's a matter of just doing your best in that situation and kind of just putting your best foot forward in everything you do. Yeah.
And on that note, how do you sell a vision that you have to these mentors, to these funders, to these investors? How were you able, or how have you been able to buy someone's attention, speak to someone and find that they understand and they believe? They might not see the full vision, but how were you able to get that across?
Okay. So to sort of, many don't. Many don't see the vision, but it's all about passion, I would say. From the people who, because I did have the conversation about like, what attracted you, like once you get comfortable with a mentor, you get to have those conversations like, why were you comfortable with Cohorta in the first place? And it was all about passion, right? If you're passionate about something and you know that you're passionate about something and you know that you lived the struggle, that many people have lived the struggle. So, and you're out there trying to solve that, find a solution for that struggle, then they see it in you, and that really resonates with them, right? And they're more, so passion draws attention. So I would say that.
And so June 2024, and that was June 2024, right?
Yeah.
You're a close third, but then later, I think it was 6 months later, you win the competition where you get $10,000.
Yeah.
How were you able to do that? So say, I just want to understand what that experience was like and how you were able to turn that loss, well, I wouldn't call it a loss, but that experience to now another experience where you're now getting a return on your idea, your investment of time into something that you're passionate.
So I would say it's about, you can't, if you win too fast, it gets to your head, right? But it's all about, it's a slow win. It's a slow process, right? So it's, it was sad that we didn't get first place in that health tech conference. It would have been great, but we didn't. But a few months down the road, we were able to win that $10,000 in brand pricing, in brand and advertising. So it was great, but it's just a lot of hard work and seeing and talking to people in your field, right? So we talked to a lot of mental health professionals and asking them like, hey, is this, what other features or what additions do you think you would like in an app like this for yourself as a mental health mental health professional, as well as your clients? What are they seeking? And just getting more understanding and knowledge about that, and then seeing how to implement it into Cohorta.
And would you also say that mindset has a key role to play in that as well?
Definitely. Just knowing that you're working for a greater goal. It could take longer, but it'll take time, but the end goal is still the same.
The end goal is still the same, yeah. And I think it's important because mindset is something many people struggle with.
Yeah.
Get one loss and you're out. You feel like this is not something you should be doing. You feel like with everything that's going on, maybe I should be trying something else. Maybe this loss goes to show that I should not be doing this. And there are those that say, okay, I've seen the loss, but I'm going to learn from it.
Yeah.
I know that in the next phase of my life, or in the next phase of this initiative that I've started, if I'm really passionate about it, it will make sense. I'll just tell you a story about us as well.
Yeah.
When we started this as a TV show before it eventually evolved to a podcast, we took a year of no's and rejections from everyone and anyone. All organizations you can talk about or that you know in your head from Uganda, I went to all of them and they all said no.
Wow.
But that was 12 months of consistent no's. We could have said, you know what, let's give up, let's let it go. But because we knew what we were striving for, because we knew our why, which is what I want to ask you, what is your why? As we wrap this conversation up, as we sort of wind down, we knew our why, and that why has kept us going. Our why is really to serve, inspire, and inform. And that has kept us going, knowing that we can still do, we can still create, we can still implement, we can still bring young people together. What would you say your why is?
I would say our why is to increase self-awareness, right? To increase the ability for people to actually know themselves, as well as kind of alleviate the stigma behind mental health, right? Especially within African males. And just to know that this is something that everyone deals with, but it's there's solutions out there to kind of help people feel better about themselves, to work towards their mental health, right? So that's something that would say my why.
And where do you see Kuota in the next 10 years in an ideal world?
In an ideal world, I would say we would have grown to a good-sized organization working definitely in a number of countries, right? With a small and agile team, right? working in primarily out of Canada and spreading impact across the world.
Across the world. I mean, that's a great vision. And for our potential viewers, we might have potential investors, potential incubators interested in maybe your idea from the conversation, the passion that they've seen from you. What's one thing that you would say? What would your ask be if you had an investor right now with $1 million? How would you? What would your ask be to the audience, to any potential investor or incubator?
Send them 1 million. No, so it would be what they would want to hear from Kuota. I would say we're a young, fast-growing team that is here to help individuals improve their mental health and just work for a better world, or work towards a better world with mental health as a whole. Mental health as a whole, yeah.
Thank you so much, Kinen, for being on today's podcast. For everyone watching, I think this is a testament for not only one, being able to start an idea to create a solution that has potential impact, but drawing in a passion, drawing in an experience that you use to be able to create something that potentially can work. And for everyone watching, for the young people that are thinking about creating ideas, creating solutions, I think it's important that you look within, find what it is that you're passionate about, find the problems within your communities to be able to start something. And it's not just an abstract concept that you want to do, but it's something that you feel from within needs to happen because it's an experience that you've had. Kinen has shared deeply about mental health and how journaling has helped him. And he's now seen that there's a need for that. And with the growth of Kuota, I think it has potential impact. It's going to create great change, not just for young people here in Canada, but across the world. Like he's just said, potentially having impact across the world is something that he'd want for Kuota. So thank you so much, Kinen, for being on the Young Guy International podcast. And before we go, I'm going to ask you to repeat the phrase that you said in the beginning, because I think it's a good way for us to leave
all right,
our conversation.
La Chwechwe Oyabuyo Yoleng.
La Chwechwe Olabio
Yoleng.
Yolen. Which means again?
God has set the way for you and the road is clear.
God has set the way for you guys and the road is clear. Get out there, try something, just like Kinen has with his incredible quarter team. But to everyone watching, thank you again for tuning into the Young Guy International podcast. For everyone listening, thank you for listening. We ask that you continue to engage with us across different social media platforms. We have more content coming, more conversations. This is just one of many, and we're grateful, and we will see you soon. Thank you, Kinen.
Thank you.